Hi, Joe Bodek here, real estate investor and mentor, coach. And as always, I want to thank you for stopping by for a few minutes. Hey, if you're looking to create monthly residual income, there's no better way to do it than by using sandwich lease options to get the job done. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you know how a sandwich lease option works. The question is, do you know how a car lease works? Well, if you do, you'll know that you lease a car for a period of time. At the end of that lease, you can either return it to the dealer or purchase it. All you need to do now is substitute a car with a house, and you got a lease option. You got how it works. And at the end of the lease, okay, you lease the house for a period of time, and at the end of the lease, you can exercise your option like you would with a car and purchase it, or you can tell them you don't want the house and move on to another house. Pretty simple, right? Now, in the case of a lease option, your contract should be written so that you have the right to sublease the house and to assign the contract. And this would be the major difference between a car lease and a lease option on a property. Well, let me walk you through the steps of how to do a sandwich lease option, okay? Step one is to get the property under a simple 1 or 2 page lease option agreement with the seller. Step two is to find your tenant buyer. And in this case, you'll use two long form agreements with the seller. The first is going to be a lease option agreement, and the second is going to be a rental agreement. Step three is to close the deal step three is to close the deal out down the road by either assigning the agreement that you have with the tenant buyer back to the seller, or if you don't want the seller to know what you're making out of that deal, you can always do a double close. So as you can see, this is not brain surgery. So how do you make money out of this deal? Well, you actually have 3 paydays in a lease option. I love lease options, man. I really do. The first payday is the upfront money, which is the option consideration that you collect from the tenant buyer before he moves into the property. That's a non-refundable option consideration and goes right into your pocket, and it does count towards the sale price of the property. It's not a down payment, but it counts towards the sale of the property as a credit. The second payday is the monthly rent spread. Now, this is the best, guys. Now, this is different this is a difference between what you're collecting from the tenant buyer every month and what you owe the seller every month. This is the residual monthly income that once again goes right into your pocket. And guys, if you want to create monthly income, steady monthly income, without having to go into all kinds of debt, buying properties and so forth, you control them with a sandwich lease option. And this is what happens. You're going to get rental income every month without all the problems of ownership. Now, the third payday is the back end money, which is whatever's left in the deal when you go to close. In other words, if you have $20,000 in the deal, you take $10,000 up front as the option consideration. Guess what? Still have $10,000 in the deal. You get that on what we call the back end when you close, when the tenant buyer exercises his option and actually goes to close. Confused? Well, don't be, because here's my simple example of how one of my many deals that I've done um, that should clear up anything that's bothering you right now, okay? Just hang in there. Now, this was a 4 bedroom colonial home in a great area where the seller, for some reason, couldn't get the property sold through a realtor, so she came to me to get it done. Here's how the deal went. I put the house under contract for $210,000, and the comp range on the property went from 215 to 235. So I raised the price to the tenant buyer to 230. Monthly rental to the seller was $1,000, so I raised the rent to the tenant buyer by 500 to $1,500. I received 10,000 upfront from the tenant buyer as a non-refundable option consideration. I received 500 per month in the rent spread, and I received 10,000 at close on the back end. So I controlled the property for 2 years. So here's the final numbers. I got 10,000 up front. I got 12,000 in the rent spread. I got 10,000 on the back end. That's a total of $32,000 total from a property I did not own, and only cost me $100 up front to the seller as an option consideration. I'm going to do that again. 32 grand from a house I didn't own. That's why I love sandwich lease options, guys. Okay. Not a bad ROI, right? So as you can see, I accomplished the same thing that other investors do by going into debt with a bank, buying the house, doing the fix up on the house, being responsible for the insurance and the taxes and the repairs and the rent and renting it out and all that stuff. But all I did was control the property through a sandwich lease option and had no debt, no taxes, no insurance, no repairs to worry about. Now, my personal experience with sandwich lease options was outstanding in that I had substantial income coming in every month, no matter if I was working or if I was on vacation. And depending on how many properties I had under contract at any given time, my monthly income usually ranged from 15 to 20, $25,000. And that doesn't take into consideration the upfront and back end money. So as you can see, sandwich lease options have a lot to offer. I want you to keep in mind that I'm not suggesting that you change anything you're presently doing. I'm just suggesting that you add this one very profitable niche to your existing business model. And by the way, if you've seen any of my previous emails or videos on the subject of lease options, you should already know that you don't even have to market for lease option deals, as you already have those leads, but you just don't know it. Now, if you're already wholesaling, many of the leads that you can't work with because the seller won't take your low offer, there's not enough equity in the property, okay? Those leads, many of them can be done as lease options because you don't need um, uh, a lot of equity in the property to do a lease option, and you don't have to come in at 50 cents on the dollar. Okay, you can get pretty close to what they're asking and still make a good profit. Okay, so at any rate, by simply adding lease options to your business model, you'll be able to take these dead leads that you already have and turn them into cash deals instead of throwing them into the trash, which is what you're doing now. In addition, my Ultimate Automated Lead Machine program will teach you how to work with other wholesalers like yourself to get their dead leads and turn them into cash deals. And I'll tell you more about that in just a minute, okay? Hang in there. So the only problem left to solve is learning how to work with lease options. And that I can cure for you, okay? Because I've been working with both wholesale and sandwich lease options for the last 30 years. I've taught this niche to over 2,000 students over the past 15 years. I know a little something about, how I can get you up to speed. And I'm going to recommend to you to check out my lease option and my ultimate automated lead machine mentoring programs, which will get you where you want to go without the sticker shock. And you can do that at my site using the link that's right below this video in the description section, okay, of this video. You can use that to get you to my site where you can get that information. Now, I understand that the fees for most of the mentoring programs out there are somewhat ridiculous, but you can get into my programs without the sticker shock that you're used to seeing out there in the marketplace. And in my program, you'll earn while you learn as I walk you through deals from beginning to end if you wish, and it'll cut your learning curve in half and get you out on your own quickly. So if you're willing to open your mind and take a little time to learn a little something new, then you have the opportunity to utilize what you already have in place to double or triple your existing cash flow. I guess the simplest way to put it is that you can continue to throw tens of thousands of dollars in the trash, which is what you're currently doing by trashing all of those leads that you can't work with, or you can let me show you how to put all that cash in your pocket. I could be wrong. Kind of sounds like a no-brainer to me, guys. Now, there are all sorts of things that a mentor coach can bring into your real estate life if you're willing to do away with the paralysis of analysis and be willing to learn a little something from those that came before you. So don't stop what you're doing. Just add the machine and lease options to the mix and become a real estate transaction engineer instead of a one-trick pony. You'll increase your bottom line and create residual income by adding one simple niche to your existing business model. And there is one thing I can promise, it won't hurt a bit. Now, my mentoring programs are designed to teach you all kinds of great new stuff and get the paralysis of analysis out of your life forever. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, be sure to like this video if you would, and like my channel, and open your notifications so you can get notice of all the new videos that I'll be putting up here, okay? So at any rate, I want to thank you again for stopping by and spending a little time with me, and I hope to be working with you soon. So get that link, go on over to the site, check it out. Doesn't cost you anything, won't hurt you. You'll even learn a little something, something. And then hopefully we can get together and we can work together. So that's it from here. Bye bye for now. I'll see you next time.